Hello, everyone out there in YouTube land, Facebook land, social media land, the world, the land, YouTube world, whatever. Who's ever watching these videos? I'd like to thank everybody who's watching these videos and anybody who's been subscribing. If you do like the videos and like the things that I'm saying, remember you can always click the subscribe button in the corner. Click the notification bell to set your notifications, and you'll get notified whenever I do one of these little videos. That way you don't have to waste all your time searching for it. And if you like what I have to say, give me a like, comment, share, all the typical stuff. I'd really appreciate it. So I'm going to start off today's episode by I'm going to read you a bunch of headlines here from some articles that I found, because things are starting to get real out there and people are starting to go to jail for breaking quarantine and coronavirus stuff. So let me just browse through a couple of articles that I found today while searching, just to kind of drive the point home, because I know it's making its way around social media and it's all over the news and everything else. So article number 1, Shreveport announces misdemeanor summons for ignoring the COVID-19 stay-at-home order. Okay, that's out of Louisiana, obviously, Shreveport. And then shocking moment. Huge line of police officers disperse 40 partygoers from one-year-old girl's birthday in L.A. after citywide shutdown amid coronavirus. So that's an article in which, as it says in the headline, they had to send a bunch of police officers out there to basically physically break up a little kid's birthday party, because there were more than the 10 people there. There were 40 people there. So they got a little hands-on with it. There's actually a video of it happening. You can just Google the article, kid's birthday party arrest in LA, and you'll find it's a pretty, disheartening, shocking video of a bunch of cops coming in and breaking up this little girl's birthday party. And again, I'm not going to make any comment right now about whether it's right for them to do this or not for them to do this. I'm just pointing out to everybody what's going on out there. The next article. 3 people are arrested for violating Hawaii's stay-at-home orders as cops set up checkpoints across Kauai to prevent spread of coronavirus. So that's all the way down in Hawaii. They arrested 3 people for violating the coronavirus curfew, stay-at-home orders, etc. And then the biggest article, the one that's been really making the news lately, and as you can see, as I pointed out before, I'm down here in Florida. I'm actually near St. Pete, Tampa area where this incident occurred. Arrest warrant issued for megachurch pastor who won't stop holding services. So this is like a big local story here going on, and it's kind of making national news. I've seen it on Fox. I've seen it on Ben Shapiro's talked about it. So it's basically been everywhere. And this is pastor up in Pinellas County down here in Florida. It's near St. Pete. It is St. Pete, near Tampa, where the guy was still holding a megachurch rally. So he's a pastor at one of these mega churches, and he didn't shut down his church service. He was encouraging people to come out and see his service. And so when he did that, photographs got taken and they got sent all over the web. There were pictures everywhere of this huge service with hundreds of people coming to this service. So obviously the local authorities got pissed off about that, or they're trying to send a message. And so they issued an arrest warrant for this pastor, and they went out and arrested him and took him to jail. So as you can see from these articles, things are getting into the next level. They were originally just advisories by the government telling you to stay at home. Then they were, suggestions. Then they started shortening time frames. They started closing certain businesses. They started shrinking the number of people that you can hang out with. And now any of these places who've come up with these stay-at-home orders or any other sort of curfew orders or number of people orders, you're starting to get arrested for. The municipalities have warned people. They've told people, they've advised people, they've given them notice, and there's a lot of people who just aren't following those rules or complying with those requests and those notices. And so now they're getting serious. All these municipalities in these states are going to start arresting people. You're going to see it everywhere. I mean, they just did it in Maryland, and they did it in Virginia. Obviously, it's happening here at local places in Florida, entire states, and California's had one now for a while, as you can see by that article I was talking about with the birthday party. So they've reached their limit. The municipalities, the government entities have reached their limits, and they're no longer playing around. So they're going to start arresting people. So this is now taking, a next step in the progress here and the evolution of what's been going on. Now, is it fair for them to do that? Is it right for them to do that? Is it constitutional for them to do that? Look, I've said it before in a previous videos, and I'll say it again. I don't think it's right or constitutional that they do any of those things. I'm not saying that I think you should have a birthday party at this moment with 40 people coming. I think that's idiotic. It's nonsense. You shouldn't do it. You should stay at home. I don't believe that you should be going to churches and gathering with large groups of people. Look, I'm not the most religious guy in the world, but I'm a believer, and I understand why people want to go to church. I have people who live near me that are huge Catholics, and they go to church all the time. They're in Mass, it seems like, every day, but they're not going anymore. They're staying at home. I'm not going. Lots of people aren't going. I have, you listen to people talk, and they talk about how they're Jewish and they're canceling all the meetings at the synagogues and everything else. So they're just being smart, and they're canceling them. So you should not go. It's stupid for you to go to a church right now with 200 something people in it when this virus is going around. However, there's a difference between being stupid and being constitutional. Okay, this pastor, to take for an example, they charged him with violating the stay at home or stay within a small group ordinance or emergency powers that were enacted. You could say the same thing for about everybody else that came to the church that day. Okay, there were 200, 300 something people in the audience that violated the same order, but they're not going to jail. Now, it's possible that the cops obviously don't know who every single one of those people are, but they know who the pastor is because he's the pastor and he's, registered at the church. They all know who his name is. But they could have easily tracked down who was there that day and arrested more people, but they didn't want to because what they're trying to do with this pastor, obviously, is set an example. They want to arrest him, make it high profile, make everybody know about it to send shockwaves out there that says, hey, we're not messing around anymore. Stop doing this. Look, I don't think, again, as a rugged individualist, libertarian-minded style person, I don't agree with that. I don't think that that's right. I don't think that that's fair. If people want to be stupid and go gather around these things, they can go gather around these things. I mean, if you're taking your precautions and staying at home and not interacting with people, if those 200 idiots want to get themselves infected, I don't know how that would affect you if you were staying at home. But I also, again, I understand why people are scared, why that would affect some people, and why that would anger some people, that when we're staying at home and trying to do what's morally right, again, there's a difference between morally right and constitutionally right. You're trying to stay at home and do what's morally right and stop the spread of this and keep people safe, and you got a whole bunch of idiots out there that just don't care. They're still hanging out in large groups of people at boats. They're still hanging out in large groups for motorcycle rides. You still see pictures of, down here in Florida, there's still pictures of beaches with people at them, even though they're technically closed. And of course, now you get this mega church guy with all these people there. You have people throwing parties. Why? I don't understand why, if you have a child specifically, you're going to invite 40 people over for a party in the middle of all this. I mean, it's idiotic. People shouldn't be doing it, and I would tell them and encourage them not to do it. That is a huge difference, though, between that and then now sending out, the police to start arresting these people and taking them to jail. And the great irony is, I could also rattle off a list of other articles that you could Google about all the people being let out of jail. So there's a mass effort right now going on across the country, kind of spearheaded by the ACLU, in which they're trying to actually clear out the jails. They're trying to find people with non-violent crimes or short sentences to get them out of jail, because if one person inside of a jail gets it, as you can imagine, it would probably spread like wildfire. So there's this huge effort right now to clear out the jails from people who don't need to be there for fear that coronavirus could be introduced to the jail and spread throughout the jail. Well, at the same time that there's an effort to do that, they're now doing this effort where they're actually arresting people who either have coronavirus or have been exposed to it or breaking these rules and filling up the jail. So now they're filling up the jail, which is in direct conflict of trying to empty the jail. And in a lot of these places, I know here locally, there was an order put out by the courts here locally that said that if anybody who's been diagnosed with the coronavirus or exposed to the coronavirus and is out and about can be arrested and taken to jail and be held with no bond. Well, what kind of idiocy is that? Now you're actually taking the person who has the virus and introducing them into the jail system, which is a tight, populated area where it's going to spread like wildfire. So why would you do that? It seems idiotic to me. And I think, again, the issue is you're seeing frustration now amongst these municipalities because they've been issuing these advisories and issuing these orders and these suggestions. And look, people just aren't following them, okay? Most people are. I'd say the vast majority of people are following them. But you're seeing a bunch of people not following them. And these municipalities are just, they're frustrated to the limit because they don't know what else to do. They can tell you and tell you and tell you. But if they still keep seeing pictures of 200 people sitting at a church, they want to do something to shut that down. I don't necessarily think what to do is to then go arrest the pastor, drag him in front of the cameras, and then stick him into a jail system with probably 1,000 other people who might be in jail, and now expose all of those people to the virus that you're trying to stop from spreading around. Not to mention you're exposing the law enforcement officers to it. If you know somebody has the virus, and again, this order that I'm talking about came out locally, that if you know somebody who has the virus, that definitely has it. Now you tell the officers to go arrest that person. Now you're exposing those officers to it. You're exposing the officers at the jail to it. You're exposing the nurse and the medical people who work at the jail to it, because this person is going to have to be checked and they're going to have to be treated. If they do end up developing systems, now the taxpayers are going to have to pay for it because they're sitting in the jail, which means the jail medical staff has to pay for it. Or you may have to transport that guy to a hospital or girl to a hospital if they do develop severe symptoms for coronavirus. So there's an actual order in place that says if you know somebody has the coronavirus and they're out and about in violation of our quarantine, you're to arrest that person who you know has the virus and put them into the jail and have them get and expose 1,000 people throughout that whole process to the very person who you're angry at for exposing people because they left their home. Well, that doesn't make sense to me. It's idiotic. It's contradictory. And it's just, once again, when you look at it the way the government thinks about things, they don't think about things. They just react. So you got municipalities and court systems and stuff that are getting angry with people for violating these rules, and then their knee-jerk reaction is to exert their power and to arrest these people and punish them with full might of the government without thinking it through, that what you're doing is actually creating the very scenario of exposing large groups of people to this virus that you're trying to prevent by keeping the quarantine in place. So it's just another example of everybody in this situation is just reacting. They don't know how to handle the situation. Nobody was prepared for it, and these municipalities and these state governments are just freaking out, and they're going further and further up the rung to try and impose their will on this situation. So again, just in summation, I'm going to point out I am not recommending that anybody go to a church with 200 people in the middle of this virus. That would be dumb. It would be stupid. Don't be having birthday parties with people. Don't be hanging out with large groups of people if you can avoid it. Be smart and not do those things. But that doesn't mean I am ever going to sit here and argue for the government to take away somebody's liberty by throwing them in jail because they disagree with what they're doing, or they think they have a better way to solve this situation than other people do, or just because they don't know how to solve the situation. So they always go back to their standard fallback position, which is to arrest you and throw you in jail. So just keep that in mind, though. This is a warning to everybody out there that these municipalities are taking this seriously now. So the ACLU is talking about filing lawsuits, as they always are. This is one that they might actually get involved in. In my previous videos, I talked about some of the stuff going on with the gun shops, and I don't expect the ACLU will really get involved in those. But if they start grabbing people off the street and throwing them in jail for violations of these orders that nobody even knows if they're really constitutional yet or not, because a lot of them are under appeal and legal scrutiny right now, I think they're going to have a big problem with that, and they're going to start threatening with the lawsuits. They're going to start filing lawsuits, and we're going to see how this kind of thing shakes out. So just giving you a heads up, stay out of trouble. You should follow all those rules anyway, because, again, they're just smart for personal health and personal safety. But by the same token, we got to keep an eye on it. We got to make sure that they don't just keep abusing their power and just keep reaching more and reaching more and reaching more, to where next thing you know, we're all walking around with in a police state, having to show our papers when we go places and stuff, because it's not America, and it's just not how we're supposed to live. So just keep that in mind. Just want to do a video today, giving everybody an update on that. As always, again, click and subscribe, click your notifications, like the channel if you like it, and give me a downvote too if you think I'm full of crap. I'm fine with that. I can take the criticism. So thanks for watching. Everybody stay safe, stay healthy, stay open if you can, and as always, carry on.